Music has always had such a big impact on my personal life. So when I found out that the film Alive Inside was made with the purpose of showing the impact music can have on people, I was very interested and excited to find out more information. The opening scene was about a 90-year-old woman with dementia who was asked the question, "What was your life like when you were a little girl?" She laughed while saying that she can't remember. This shocked me because I feel I would be able to answer this question very easily. I never considered that one day I might not be able to remember how I am currently living my life now. The fact that her response was laughing was interesting to me because you would expect someone to be upset that they can't remember, or even scared that they can't remember. I think it was more of a nervous or embarrassed type of laughter, though. Then they played a song from when she was younger to try and help her gain back her memories. She was able to talk about so much stuff, including her birthday, her family, her school days, and more. I feel that the question, "Tell me about your childhood," is a very loaded question, and even people without dementia would have a hard time answering it or figuring out where to start talking about and what about. Playing a song gives a specific time period that people can think back to. It makes the question not as broad and gives people somewhere to start talking from. When Henry was introduced, it showed that he wasn't able to remember his daughter Cheryl, who was there talking with him. He didn't remember how many children he had. The way he responded to not remembering her name, though, was what stood out to me. My step-grandfather currently has Alzheimer's. He lives in Massachusetts, so I would only see him around twice a year, when I visited. He was always very sweet to me and remembered everything about me. But in recent years, he wasn't able to remember who I was, and if I were to walk by him on the street, I'm sure he would think I was a stranger and not say anything. Before Henry was introduced to the music, he was not talkative at all. But after, he was willing to talk, answer questions, and was actually enthusiastic when doing so. It is like it awakened him. I think this is because it makes Henry trust people more. It reminds him of who he is and who his values are as a person. So it makes him want to start treating the people kindly and actually talk to them. They did him a favor by letting him listen to music, so in return, he does the favor of answering questions for them. I also found it really interesting how the interviewer was told to start with yes or no questions. This is something I think can also be applied to my time as an occupational therapist. For example, when working with children who are shy, responding with one-word answers is easier and more comfortable for them. Once you show them they are safe, they may be more open to responding to questions that aren't just one-word answers. The quote, "Music is magic," really impacted me, because personally, I play music constantly. I notice when I play slower, more sad music, I actually feel more sad in real life. When I'm feeling down and upset, I make sure I put on happy music, and it immediately makes me happy and brings my spirits up. Music released during the COVID-19 lockdown will always remind me of COVID and that time period in my life. It really moved me when Denise became so emotional when she was listening to music. She doesn't think about anything else or her struggles when she's distracted with the music. It's like I could feel her emotions and all her stress being removed from her body. And that's similar to how I feel when I listen to music. Nothing else distracts me, and all of my worries in life go away. It made me feel frustrated when learning how easy it is for doctors to prescribe medicine, which is not even that beneficial for patients, but how hard it is to get an iPod prescribed, even though it is significantly cheaper. Music doesn't count as a medical intervention, and this shocked me because its impacts are much more greater and impactful than medications. There was a patient there who said he had only been there for a few days and that he wanted to go home to be with his family. This reminded me again of my step-grandfather. The patient kept trying to find doors to exit from. My step-grandfather one time actually escaped from the nursing home he was in because he was planning on going home. He luckily was found soon after, but it is very sad and scary to think that he wanted to leave that badly. The patient Steve had gone 8 years without having his music. It was such a big part of his life, and they showed all the music he owned when he was younger. I cannot imagine going 8 years without listening to music. Music is such an important way to connect with the world and to yourself. I normally can't go a day without listening to music. I cannot imagine waiting 8 years. It's like he wasn't truly himself during those 8 years, because music was such a big part of his identity. I found it very interesting to learn that in babies' cries, there are patterns that reflect their mother's speech that they could hear from inside the womb. I remember previously hearing that babies in the womb can hear music and that certain music is better to play for them to listen to. This just shows how deeply music is engraved into being human. In my opinion, it's like a necessity to live. It unites people. I bonded with a lot of people just based off of if we like the same music or music artist. Something new that I found out was that nursing homes used to actually be set up like homes, but now they are set up like hospitals. I think it would be a lot more beneficial and comforting to patients if it was set up like homes. It would bring a feeling of familiarity, and I'm sure less people would try to escape because it would be more calming. When I learned that America only has 6,000 geriatricians and the number is going down, it made me consider working with older clients when I'm an occupational therapist. I originally planned to work in pediatrics because I have 2 younger sisters. In my junior year of high school, I was a part of a mentorship program where I was with occupational therapists for more than 30 hours. During this, I worked with older adults and enjoyed it. When you're a dementia patient, you have to depend on someone else for everything you do. This takes away from your feeling of independence, which is what is so important to occupational therapy. Not being able to carry out activities of daily living is really upsetting and takes away from people's freedoms. I'm sure it feels isolating, even though someone is always helping. Being away from people is so sad, especially the people you love, like your family. At college, I feel alone if I don't get one meal with my friends here. Luckily, I get to FaceTime and call and text my family from home, but I still don't see them. I can't imagine not being able to call and communicate with them, like if I was in a nursing home and had dementia. When John said, "This is my gang," about the people at the nursing home, including other patients and staff, it was showing that they are like his family. This made me sad because that means his biological family was replaced. He probably hadn't seen them in so long. This made me reflect on my parents and imagining them in nursing homes. I made a promise to myself to try my best to make sure they never end up in nursing homes, because I can't imagine them living in those conditions and feeling like that. After watching the end of the documentary and seeing how many people showed their family members that have dementia music and saw their reactions to it, I want to see what my step-grandfather's reaction would be to listening to music from his childhood. Since he lives in Massachusetts, I can't personally give him music, but I'm going to tell my stepdad and see if he's willing to do this for him, and I would love to see his reaction to it if it was recorded. Dan Cohen making it his whole life goal to help others is very inspiring to me. It gives me hope for the world that people care for people other than themselves. It reminds me of how I feel like wanting to be an occupational therapist and help people, and how passionate I am about that. After watching Alive Inside, I thought about ways music can be used in occupational therapy practice. Some ways I thought of are using music that each client personally likes. This is a great way to try and gain their trust. There are multiple different ways you can use music to try and get your clients engaged in activities you want them to do. You can play it in the background while making a client profile and asking their goals and about their personal life. This will help them feel more relaxed and calm. You can use it in games, like while music is playing, you have to engage in one activity, but when a different song is playing, you have to move to the next activity to keep clients engaged and not bored on one task. You can get patients to do stuff to the beat of the music to motivate them to keep going and give them a goal of trying to keep up with the music, like walking to the beat, clapping your hands, or stomping your feet to the beat. You can create a calming area with calming music when clients get overwhelmed and need a few minutes to calm down so that they can better participate once that calming time is done. If you want people to open up about their past experiences or goals, you can try to ask them to write it in song lyrics. This can help clients approach this task in a different way. Having clients play instruments to work on different things like hand-eye coordination, fine motor skills, coordination, hand strength, etc. You can have patients take turns while singing in a group to practice social interaction skills. You can play games like musical chairs to work on motor, process, and social interaction skills. You can play calming music throughout the whole session to create a calming vibe and stress-free time for your patients. These all will aid in clients' participation and help them reach their goals quicker, helping their outcomes and performance because they will be more engaged, interested, and calm. After watching Alive Inside, I think it is very interesting to learn that something as simple as playing music was the answer to helping people with dementia, and that such a simple sounding answer can do so much for people. I also think it's interesting how occupational therapy can use music in so many different ways that can be beneficial for clients.